This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Place to Be Nation Wrestling Network. Welcome to episode 3 of Who's Next. I am Andy Atherton, one of your co-hosts. We're here to break down another month of NXT television. That includes a premium live event. That is Deadline, our first time talking about one of those on this very show. Who is us? Who is we? Well, I can't do this show alone, and I have the great co-host, the Mississippi Mud Pie, Logan Crosland. Logan, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great, Andy. How you doing tonight?
I'm good, considering let me get the marbles out of my mouth to get the show on the road. But no, I'm
it's
good.
A lot of S's and P's, so
yeah. So we had an exciting month, I think. NXT built to their first premium live event, like I said, that we've had since we've started the show, only in the third episode. But it's good to have like that kind of build. And we get to talk about a reset, kind of like what to look forward to now with some changes. We had title changes. We had some character changes. We've had a big change, which we will talk about later on. But, you know, what do you think of the last month of NXT TV? Just general thoughts before we dive in.
Yeah, I think everything's been really strong. Like you said, there's been some character changes. There was a big title change that we'll talk about in our very last episode we're talking about tonight. But a lot of stuff has changed. A lot of stuff is getting interesting going forward. I wasn't exactly a huge fan of some things, but some people kind of emerged on that Deadline show that I wouldn't have expected to kind of grab me in the matches that they had. So yeah, I was really excited watching that show. I thought it came off really well. I think it was a perfect premium live event for us to start out on. So I thought it was really strong. Yeah,
it was. You know, we were kind of guessing a lot was going in, and some of our predictions between the two of us when we kind of like have our banter here and there to keep up with what's going on, to see where each other is at in terms of our thoughts leading into our next pod recording. Yeah, and there was some surprises, and I'm excited to talk about that. So let's go back to NXT that aired back on November 29th. And we start off with Roxanne Perez versus Indi Hartwell. I thought it was a fun match with the different size women playing to their strengths. They had led up to it a bit. What were your thoughts on this match between Indi and Roxy?
Yeah, I think it was really strong. You know, they had built up the previous week, so Roxanne hadn't really been in the arena, like in the ring or anything, the past episode that we did a lot, but they had showed a few backstage segments and like the little TikTok segments that they seem to do every now and then. And Indi was really pissed that Roxanne seems to keep getting opportunities and she doesn't. So there was at least a story going into this one, and I thought they had a pretty good match. You know, it wasn't anything to blow your socks off, but I thought it was perfectly fine. I thought it featured both girls, and it showed what they're really good at. And I think they worked really well together, so I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think it played to, you know, Indi was playing the powerhouse, larger, you know, wrestler, and Roxy was the plucky, smaller sized face. And I thought, you know, Roxy wins the match. I thought Indi looked really good though in the loss.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think she looked really strong. Like you said, they showed off her power offense, and she kind of threw her around at certain points, you know, showing off her power and stuff like that. So yeah, I think both. Obviously, Roxanne won, so she gets the win and looks good in that. But Hartwell also looked good in defeat.
All right, so leading up to Deadline, we were going into the Iron Survivor Challenge, and they brought in a Hall of Fame panel to discuss with Sean. We had Road Dogg, X-Pac, Alundra Blaze, and Molly Holly. We're not going to get into like all their analysis because they do have a lot of segments on this show. Just in general, what were your thoughts on these four people becoming the panel and how they came off?
I thought it was a good idea to bring some legends in. I don't know if I would have chosen Road Dogg and Medusa, but I thought Molly Holly and X-Pac were solid choices. I know Road Dogg's good buddies with Pac and Sean. So I know he had to be involved, and I know he's really involved down there. But I just not a huge fan of his. But I thought they came across pretty well. I mean, they were a little goofy, a little forced in some spots. You know, you don't. I don't think that would be like a genuine one-on-one conversation that any of them would have. But I did enjoy the idea of having legends come together and choose the participants for the Iron Survivor challenges.
Yeah, I did. I'm up and down on X-Pac sometimes when he's like doing analysis, but I thought he was really good. Molly Holly is solid. Love her. Alundra / Medusa, I like her. I don't love her. I think she's been used a little much. I don't know who else they could have gotten. I don't think I wouldn't have wanted Lita in that spot. I'm trying to think somebody else, like like a Victoria would have been really good, I think, in that spot. And as for Road Dogg, I actually kind of like Road Dogg in terms of when he as a talker, but I don't know who else you could have had in there. I mean, it's a shame that we don't have Regal, really, because Regal would have been really good. I'm just glad it wasn't Booker.
Yeah, most of my Road Dogg hate comes from Highway to the Impact Zone, so I can't blame it on that.
Well, for more of Logan's vitriol, check out that fine show, Highway to the Impact on the Road Dogg. All right, and then we get Chase U backstage. Duke apologizes to Andre for booting him, and we get Grayson Waller interrupts to mess around with them, and Thea gets her pit bull. So we get a lot of Chase U that we're going to talk about tonight. What do you think of here's the thing about Grayson Waller. He is a perfect shit stirrer. You know what I mean? He comes off as somebody that's just gonna he's honest. You kind of see where he's coming from, but the way he does it is so annoying, and he gets into their heads that I really like him just interjecting in things like this. And Chase U, I'm curious to see what the end game is, at least in terms of the whole Andre and Duke thing. Thea is, she's playing her fun little annoying pitbull role, kind of a ball of energy that you kind of have to it's like she's like a cat that you have to spray with the water bottle to calm down kind of thing. So what are your thoughts on this exchange backstage with Chase U and Grayson Waller?
Yeah, she's just constant chaos. She's just chaos personified, or whatever. Yeah. What Gorilla Monsoon would have said back in the day. But I liked, like you said, Grayson Waller's just that perfect shit stirrer. He comes in, he knows Duke from back in the day or whatever. They were buddies back then, so he knows how quickly it would be that he probably turns on somebody like Chase U and Andre Chase, to be specific. So he's just planting that seed a little bit, but there's a kernel of truth in there. It's probably going to happen eventually, but he's just really trying to get under Duke's skin and try to plant that seed in Andre's head. But I like the whole setup that they had here, this whole segment. Duke was kind of apologizing for booting them in their tag title match the previous week. And he kept saying, it was a perfectly placed kick to your chin. And, Andre would say, I know, I was there. And he would like rub his chin. So it was just a funny little back and forth.
And he was like, I can't stop it. And once it was going, I couldn't stop it. Which that line does play off later. So then we get Dijak in his first match, I believe, back in against Dante Chen. He does a squash. Then he cuts a promo about his brand of justice. I've always liked Dominic Dijakovic. I thought he did well for somebody who didn't really have a character the last time he was in NXT. I mean, the whole T-bar thing is but yeah. I like this. It's like a really slick look for him. He's badass, and I'm excited to see where they're going to go with this guy.
Yeah, I'm absolutely super excited to see where they go with him. It kind of in our last episode, it kind of seems like he's going after Wesley a little bit, but we'll see where that goes going forward. But yeah, I thought this was a good feature for him. I thought this match went a little longer than I would have expected it to, but he still, mostly dominates. Chen gets a few shots in here and there. But it was mostly a squash, but it did go a little longer than I thought it would, but it made him look super strong. He even bloodies him up a little bit. So showed off some cool moves that he could do. So I thought it was a strong feature for Dijak there.
Yeah. I mean, if he could get back to like where his feud with Keith Lee was, that oh god, I really love that feud, that mutual respect thing, and they put on some real bangers, those two guys, and that's why I'm excited to see where they're going to go with Dijak. Now we get the other shit stirrer of NXT, basically JD McDonough, who's back there planting seeds of doubt with Ivy about the Creeds versus Indus Sher. They need, look, Diamond Mine needs something. They're kind of missing something. I don't think they have it yet as a total group. I think, like you said, you're a huge fan of the Creeds. I like the Creeds as well. Ivy, I like her in the ring, but man, she is so wooden. And now they're kind of make her into like the den mother of Diamond Mine, right? So we'll talk about the whole Creeds Indus Sher thing, because I think it's really interesting, because I believe the reason why they're doing what they're doing, the reason, not the off TV, the reason behind it is because Veer is not cleared, I think, right now to wrestle. So they got to do something to keep this going, and I do kind of like the way they're doing it, and I really love the way that they're portraying Indus Sher. We've talked about it before, that they're not these savages. They're kind of aristocratic men, I guess, big men and men of honor. So what do you think of these JD? I think this is a short stay with him and with Diamond Mine. I don't think he's going to be in their business for too long. But what are your thoughts on how making Ivy the kind of the emotional center and the like I said, den mother of the group?
Yeah, I think it gives her something, like you said, she kind of in backstage segments in the past has come off kind of wooden and doesn't have much personality. I don't know that she necessarily needs a lot of personality, but this gives her something to kind of attach to. She can kind of be the protector of the group, when, maybe Julius or Brutus wants to go out and have a match and they're not at 100%. Maybe she can kind of pull them back and be like, maybe hold off till next week or something like that. So, and I think it's hilarious that the whole thing that Indus Sher is talking about is that they only want the Creeds at 100% when in real life one of them actually isn't 100%. So I don't know. I feel like JD could kind of be like I don't think he's going to be involved in this past a certain point, but I think he could probably be like a leader for Indus Sher. He could kind of like guide them and what kind of in-ring stuff that he does if they wanted to go that direction. But I don't know if that makes too much sense. But you're probably right. He probably won't be involved too much past the couple matches that he has with the brothers.
Yeah, he's got bigger fish to fry, I think. Right? But he's good to kind of be the catalyst, I guess, for some of the things here, because they need something. They can't just like pop out. They need somebody to that's playing. He's kind of playing both sides of the fence, sort of. I think. Yeah, maybe it will come out that he was behind it, the whole time. Want them to get a beating, but they want him to be full strength before they get that beating. I don't know. All right, so then we get Duke Hudson versus Grayson Waller, which was set up earlier. I thought it was a really good match. At the end, Duke almost boots Tia in the face, and he shows that he can stop it, which that blows Andre's mind. So we get some nice payoff there. So that keeps going on. What do you think of this match?
Yeah, the whole Chase U thing just like has the NXT crowd in the palm of their hands. So anytime Duke or Andre's in a match out there, they're going wild, and they have the whole section for the Chase U student section or whatever that they have. So the crowd was super into this one. I thought the guys did well. I like the whole little story of him being able to hesitate and not actually kick Thea on the outside, and it ended up kind of costing him. I think he almost runs into her again at another point and kind of holds back. So I feel like that anytime that happened, it seemed like Grayson kind of got the advantage back, and then he won on the last one. So I thought that was a good little story to throw in with this match. But it's obviously just trying to tease that little tension that there might be with Chase U, but also kind of growing the bond at the same time. But I thought this was a good one.
Grayson Waller is kind of like the ultimate opportunist of NXT, because we'll touch on that later on. And then we get Javier Bernal backstage, our favorite guy.
Hey, big body Javi. Don't call him Javier Bernal.
I know, sorry. With Mackenzie. And I do like Mackenzie in these spots with him, because she's basically like calling out on his bullshit. We get Axiom interrupts, and that leads to something later. Then we get Kiana James versus Fallon Henley. It's been a good little feud here. Fallon tells Briggs and Jensen to walk to the back because, you know, the whole thing with Jensen flirting with Kiana. Kiana wins with the 401k after distracting the ref with her briefcase. What are your thoughts on this feud? This is, you know, at first it seemed really forced, but I'm kind of liking this feud.
Yeah, I like it as well. This is another match that I kind of thought went a little longer than I thought it would have. I feel like they've presented Kiana a little stronger than they have Fallon so far. Fallon's got the guys that she's the manager for, so she does more of that than she has really wrestled so far. But this went about 10 minutes. I thought it was really good. There was some good arm stuff in there. Some good limb work. So Chad Campbell's probably a big fan of this one. But I thought it was really well. I thought it presented both girls well. And I think, you know, maybe this match and Kiana winning was maybe the catalyst to get her into the match at the Premium Live event. So I thought it was really, really good.
All right. And we get Odyssey Jones back with Malik and Idris backstage. Malik is still upset about the sweater vest. That's going to set up a match later on in the show. And we get Toxic Attraction. All three members, Mandy, JC, and Gigi. And they're going to take on the tag champs, Caden Carter and Katana Chance and Nikita Lyons. Nikita Lyons making her way out. Zoe attacks her in the aisle. The match gets postponed, continuing that on. So this Zoe Nikita feud right now, it's starting off slowly, and Zoe seems to have the upper hand most of the time. Where is this going to lead, do you think, with the two of them?
I hope it leads to a pretty well built match at some point in the future. Maybe at New Year's Evil, or maybe even stretch it out to Vengeance Day. Probably at New Year's Evil they'll have a big match that they could kind of blow this off with. But not exactly one that's blowing my socks off, I guess I'll say. I mean, I like both girls, but it's just not something that I'm like super duper looking forward to, I guess.
Yeah. We need to. I think Nikita's got to start getting some little victories here, because Zoe has really dominated the feud so far.
Absolutely.
And we get a Lyra Valkyria preview spot, and then Elektra Lopez interview where she cuts a promo on Indy. And we get Big Body Javy versus Axiom. This is Axiom's first match. It gets a good win here. Nikita is at medical, and she gets cleared for her match later on. So out of all that, what do you talk about the Javy versus Axiom match? Because we haven't been that high on Axiom at this point. It does change for us, both of us actually. But what do you think of this match?
I thought it was strong. This was a good feature for Axiom. I think my stuff with him is more character based. I just don't think that the character that he's in can go as far or very far. I think he's good in ring. I think he was good in ring in NXT UK when he was over there. This was a good feature to get a Big Body Javy a little bit more in ring stuff. You know, most of his matches are pretty quick, and he usually loses, which obviously he loses this match as well. But I think he showed some of what he can do. Axiom's really good in the ring, like I said. The golden ratio super kick that he does is really cool. So I think it was a good feature to kind of get Axiom maybe in your mind for possibly being in the Iron Survivor. Or maybe even being a wild card at some point. So I think it was well done. And all the other stuff was, I thought, Elektra obviously is focusing on Indy. That's obviously something they're going to want to do going forward. And then I've liked all the Lyra Valkyria vignettes so far. I think I'm interested to see her come in. So
yeah, she's an interesting character. I'm excited to check her out. So then we get a pretty deadly interview. They talk about telling of the real story of Christmas on the next episode. Then we get JD McDonough versus Julius Creed. JD focuses on Julius's knee. He then goes for a chair shot and gets DQ'd. He hits Sangha instead, and Indus Sher had come out during the middle of the match. Sangha had pushed Julius out of the way. They said they want the Creeds at 100%. So, yeah, this is what we were talking about earlier. They have to do something to continue this on, to keep Indus Sher I guess, fresh because they just came back and got reunited. Any thoughts on this match?
Yeah, I mean, if Vera's truly hurt, they have to keep them in the Creed's rear view or like right at the side of their eye at all times. So I like that they get involved in some of their matches. But like I've said, I love the Creed brothers, and I really like McDonough as well. So I enjoyed this match a lot. I thought McDonough did some good limb work throughout the match. I think he's good at focusing on something once he realizes it's gotten hurt. I think he goes for the legs. He even works on the ribs a little bit. But I thought Julius held his own. Being a tag guy, I think he was pretty good in this singles match. So I didn't like that it ended in a DQ, but I feel like you got to probably keep JD strong, and you probably got to keep the Creed brothers strong for this feud that's going to end eventually have feud and match that's going to eventually happen with Indus Sher. So I enjoyed it, but it's mostly because I just love the two guys who were in the match.
Yeah,
so.
no, that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. Then we get an Alba Fire video cutting on Isla Dawn, whatever. Tony D and Dijak have a thing backstage. Then we get Von Wagner versus Malik Blade. I wrote down Wagner finally gets a win. It's probably the only win he gets, tonight as we talk about. And Blade looked okay, a little shaky in spots. In the post-match, Wagner takes out Blade, and then Nofe Aussie comes out and fights off Wagner. And I don't know, we'll talk about Von Wagner some more as we go. I'm not really that high on these other guys, though. I think Odyssey, needs some more time, to kind of see where he's at. But I don't know. Blade, I think he was shaky in this match. I thought Wagner was actually the stronger worker in this match. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, and that's saying something. I thought Blade sucked in this match. I feel like there were multiple points where they just got completely lost. And I feel like Blade needs to be the more confident guy in there, because I feel like Wagner's, not super duper confident in himself so far. He's not bad, but I feel like he's still pretty green in the business. I feel like Blade's probably a little bit more experienced. So I thought he really stunk in this one. I thought they miscommunicated quite a few times, and Blade's badness will bleed on over into the next episode too, I believe. So I didn't enjoy this match very much at all. Luckily it was only like 3 minutes, so we didn't have to last through it too long, but I thought they were very off with each other throughout the whole match.
Might be the worst match we've seen.
Oh, 100%
so far since we've been doing the pod, I think. All right, so then Sean announces the men's Iron Survivor, and we're going to get JD McDonough, Carmelo Hayes, Grayson Waller, Joe Gacy, and a fifth spot in the wild card triple threat match next week. Then we get the women's announcement. We got Zoe, Cora Jade, Roxanne, Kiana, and a fifth spot again with a triple threat match. Then the show closes with a 6-woman tag with Toxic Attraction versus Chance, Carter, and Stark. I thought it was a fun match. Nikita sold pretty good the whole time. Kind of sloppy, high-low to finish the match up by Toxic Attraction. And then we get Zoe showing up in that balcony section they have, which is good because it gets the stare down without them really fighting. It kind of gets that, you get that like camera shot on them. So what'd you think of the main event of the show?
Yeah, another perfectly fine match. I know Nikita got killed on Twitter for the sell of the twisting kick that she did, where she just kind of buckles and jumps real quick. So I know she got a lot of crap for that one, but I thought it was a perfectly fine match. Obviously, was to feature Toxic Attraction and show that they're the top ladies in the promotion so far, and that they still featured the tag champs really well. Showed off what they can do as well. But the high-low to finish the match was kind of botched. They kind of whiffed, or I think Gigi whiffed and JC actually hit what she was supposed to do, but it didn't come off looking too well. But Lyon's taking a loss. I think like you said, I think to kind of take her seriously in the Zoe feud, I think she needs to start getting some wins. So I would have liked to have seen maybe Katana or Caden maybe take this pinfall, but they're the champs, so obviously that's probably why they didn't do that.
Yeah, kept them strong.
Yeah, but I thought it was a perfectly fine match. Nothing that'll blow your socks off, but it was perfectly fine at the same time.
All right, so we'll move on to NXT from December 6th, 2022, the go home show for Deadline. We start off with our triple threat wildcard match with Von Wagner versus Andre Chase versus Axiom. Andre Chase, probably the best showing I've seen him have in anything I've watched, but Axiom gets the win. I was okay on the way the match ended. Going in, I thought Axiom wasn't actually. I didn't think Axiom was going to win this. I thought Andre had a chance, which you pointed out to me, since he was like, we need a face in the Iron Survivor match. But I actually thought Vaughn was going to go in there because they needed a big man, I thought, to maybe kind of do some spots. But you had the call though. I think you had said that Axiom could pull it out. What do you think on this triple threat match?
Yeah. I mean, I thought they definitely needed a face in the match. I think I probably would have gone Andre Chase just because I think the story was there a little bit more. But I mean, obviously, we'll talk about Deadline and Axiom's performance there. But I thought Andre could have been a good choice as well. I definitely think Vaughn was the last choice because I mean, he had just had the shot and he lost, and so I think they definitely had to go with the face because it's obviously 4 heels already that they'd named. So they needed a good guy in there for somebody to cheer. But like I said earlier, the Chase U thing is super over in the NXT crowd. They were going wild the whole time. Anytime Andre was going out there and doing his stuff, Duke and Theo were at ringside going wild as well. I did think it was kind of weird that Axiom kind of somewhat stole the victory. Like Chase hits the big crossbody, and then he kind of gets rolls out of the ring, and Axiom comes in and just hits the golden ratio and wins. I mean, I think it showed that he was crafty, and he could sneak in a win if he needed to. But I thought that was kind of a weird
seized his opening.
Yeah,
I don't think it came off his heel. Like I just thought it was more like Axiom just took advantage of just the momentum that took Andre out, because I don't know if I've seen that, where a guy hits a body, a splash, high cross body, whatever, and then his momentum takes him that far out of the ring.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I thought it was. I liked the finish. I thought it came off well. I felt bad because Andre was the star of the match, I thought.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I don't think it was heelish at all either. I think he took advantage of a situation, like you said. He saw the opportunity and he took it. So it's what he needed to do to win. And I think when this first happened, I kind of texted you in our chat and said boo, but we'll talk about it as Deadline comes up. So
yeah, I think ultimately it was the right choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Based on what happens at Deadline. So then we get a Cora Jade package. And we get Diamond Mine backstage. Ivy more Den Mother stuff with Julius being hurt. So I just wrote my notes. So wooden. Oh my god. And then we get Braun and Apollo fishing to build up the match. First we had them in the diner. Now we have them fishing. It's something different, I guess. When you have two faces, you guess you got to do something. You can't how else are you going to build a match? You have to have them kind of going on the mutual respect, I guess. I don't know. What do you think of these packages that they were doing?
I don't like the mutual respect thing. I think that's one of the laziest, most lame building to a match possible. I hate to kind of spoil the match, but at some point in the match that they have at Deadline, he does the thing where he closes his eyes and opens them real big, when he sees his visions or whatever. I wish it was more built around that than it was this mutual respect. And this whole fishing thing was so cringeworthy, and I hated every minute of it. So the diner was all right because I felt like they were shit talking at least, but this fishing thing was just lame.
Yeah, I didn't love it. Then we get Bryson Montana, whoever the hell that is, in the ring, and he gets beat down by Indus Sher. He was supposed to face Javier Bernal, or Big Body Javi. Sorry, I didn't want to offend you there, Logan.
No, you're good.
And then, then they cut another promo to decline the Creed Brothers challenge since Julius was not medically cleared due to Ivy's kind of nosing in. We continue on with that storyline. Any thoughts on the continued Indus Sher respect angle here?
Yeah, I mean they have to kind of keep them out in the view of the crowd to kind of keep them in their minds. Obviously, this feud is going to eventually lead to a match. So, yeah, they I think Ivy knows, or I think the doctor knew that the knee injury was something that was bothering Julius, and then she pointed out that his ribs were also hurt or something like that. So she was playing Den Mother again. But yeah, just they're just trying to show off how badass Indus Sher is, and they take out poor Bryson Montana, who is a level up lifer. So
that's what I figured he was. Yeah.
But yeah, good stuff.
That's an NXT name generator if I ever heard one. Shout out to our friends on PTB NXT for that one. And we get a Saul Ruca TikTok, and in the background, argument between Briggs and Jensen and Blade and Inoue that leads to something later. Then we got Zion Quinn, who is like the jobber to the stars, basically, of NXT versus Tony D in his return match. I thought Tony D looked good. I think he's coming into his own. I think he needs a bit of a bigger stable, so to speak. I think losing 2 dimes and just having Stacks, it takes something away. They could have just found some other, guy that could pass for a capo or something for him. Then he cuts a promo on Wesley. Wes comes out. Dijak then shows up on the video screen, which leads to a little bit of a beatdown there. No, there was no beatdown. Sorry, I'm confused about it. What do you think of the, also we had Chase U backstage where Andre gets loud with Duke, where he's a little bit of annoyed at him. So, what are your thoughts on Tony D's return?
Yeah, I thought Tony D's little match with Zion wasn't too bad. It didn't last very long, but it was just kind of getting him out there and getting him back in a match. I thought he looked well, coming back from his injury. Zion's just, he's pretty nonplussed. He doesn't really do much. He's, like you said, he's a jobber to the stars. There's not too much to him. But the promo after the match, he obviously said he's not waiting for Dijak to face Wesley. He wants Wesley first, and Dijak obviously has problems with that. He said something about D'Angelo like running the streets, and Dijak's all about justice in this new character. So if he's running the streets, he's going to put him behind bars, and he's going to give him his kind of justice or whatever. So, but we'll kind of see where the North American Championship is going forward. It'll obviously be some combination of these guys, or one of the 2 guys going up against West next. So, and then the Andre Chase was a little hot after losing his match. He was in a big match. Thought he should have probably won, and he kind of agrees to let Thea face Isla Dawn, and we'll see that might have been a mistake. Yeah,
he's not exactly thinking straight at the moment was where they're going with that. Maybe we'll get a triple threat. I mean, and Dijak is like starting to sound like he's like a version of the Big Boss Man coming out. He's kind of got the same facial look there with the with the glasses and everything like that. They do something really cool with the glasses later on in another episode, which I really did like. Very Hitchcock-like, so to speak. If you have ever seen, I think it was Strangers on a Train. I think it was. All right, so then we get the men's locker room backstage. We get a lot of guys we haven't been seeing much of, and in walks Charlie Dempsey, and Hank Walker kind of talks over to him and challenges him to something, and Dempsey to a match, and then Dempsey basically destroys him, and Drew Gulak comes out to scout. What do you think is going on here with Drew? Because I thought Charlie looked really good. They're making him out to be just a badass, kind of like his father, basically. Hank Walker doesn't really do much for me right now. He's kind of just he's like an even worse version of what's his face when he was the security guard in Impact, right? Oh
yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
the guy who ended up getting fired for his views, I guess, so to speak. Well, what do you think of this Charlie Dempsey thing and Drew Gulak showing up at NXT?
Yeah, I thought, hey, yeah, Hank Walker's pretty, he's another one of those level up kind of guys. There's not much to him yet. I mean, maybe eventually he'll be a bigger guy that has a lot of personality and he can put something together with a character eventually. But I think he's a long way from that. Charlie Dempsey's a killer. He's just, everything he does is with such force and aggression. And, he's old school. He does all the cool wrestling moves. He's kind of a bruiser like his dad was. So I'm interested to see him going forward. And I think, Gulak, maybe he seems to kind of be scouting. So maybe he'll put together like a wrestler kind of group or, something like that. Maybe kind of do Diamond Mine 2.0 and kind of maybe come up with something to kind of put up against the Diamond Mine eventually. So it seems like he's scouting to like bring in people to like join his little stable. So but we'll see where that one goes.
Yeah, kind of like what Timothy Thatcher was doing with the whole catch as catch can and the real mat wrestling, that kind of thing. As you see some of the people he ends up scouting in the next couple of episodes. Then we get a Zoe Stark package, and we get Grayson Waller cutting a promo to announce his talk show later in the night. And then we get Pretty Deadly coming out to tell the story of Christmas, which I really enjoyed this sketch. These guys have really grown on me. They're I guess if you to quote a British term, they're kind of cheeky monkeys, so to speak, where they're out there and they're hamming it up, and it's ridiculous, and it's so much fun. And then we get a huge surprise, something I didn't even see coming, was the New Day interrupts with a big pop. They end up getting into a fight, and the New Day challenges Pretty Deadly for the titles. What do you think of Pretty Deadly's telling of the story of Christmas? And did you have any idea that New Day was going to be showing up here at the NXT arena?
No, I had no idea. It was a huge surprise. I think it's a good fit for them. I feel like they've just kind of gotten muddled in the SmackDown tag division. I feel like really any tag team in the main roster, because it's just kind of who's going to beat the Usos eventually. Who's going to beat the Usos eventually? You can't do Street Profits, Usos and New Day Usos 500 times. You've got to eventually do something. So I feel like this is a good move for New Day for sure. The telling of the story was great. Just one of them was sitting on the other one's lap and they were just reading back and forth. Just great stuff all around. They've grown on me. They're definitely good as characters, and we'll see at Deadline, as we keep kind of saying, they have put on heck of a performance. So we'll talk about that when we get to it. But the whole Zoe Stark thing, she knows she's going to be the Iron Survivor. She just knows that she has the toughness to last the whole 25 minutes, and then Grayson saying he's going to win. He's not scared of anybody. So good little 2 promos right there. And you actually skipped a Scripps promo, but I won't get mad at you, and we don't have to go back.
Oh, I did
about that. So no, you're good. It's fine.
Nobody bats 1,000, right, Logan?
No.
Yeah, I'm not upset about missing a Scripps thing too. Trust me. Mm-hmm. I'll sleep tonight. It's okay. Isla Dawn package where it's really brief, talking about her powers and everything. And then we got Big Body Javy backstage. Gets made fun of by Euro, calling him Big Body Chicken. And then we get Tia Hale versus Isla Dawn, which I love the character work by Isla Dawn. And her entrance was really cool. Tia was way over her head. Doesn't get in much offense. Good storytelling. Then we get Alba attacking post-match. The ref gets poison mist to the face, which then does pay off in a later match. So what are your thoughts on the we got the Big Body Javy versus Euro, who we haven't seen much of in a long time. Mm-hmm. And then we got Isla Dawn versus Tia. What are your Tia, I don't know. What do you got on these two?
I thought the Big Body Javy segment was pretty funny. Mackenzie's really good in those segments, kind of shitting on him. So, and it was good to see Jiro. I think they have a match on the next episode. So, looking forward to seeing what they do there. Like you said, Theo was way in over her head. Isla pretty much squashes her completely. I don't even think Thea gets much offense in other than maybe a couple of punches. But this was obviously just a setup to bring Alba out after the match and kind of set up their match at Deadline. So I thought it was really good. And then, like you said, the mist eventually leads to something else. So good little storyline progression there.
Yeah, I like that it doesn't really hurt Thea to lose matches like this because they're playing up on her age and that she's learning and that she shouldn't have been in there with Hila. So I think she's okay in this, and I kind of really am really off the bat loving this Isla Dawn character. I really am. I think there's a lot here, and I think she's gonna have like she's gonna be a female like Undertaker or something. I could see I'm not that's pretty high, but you know what I mean. Like I feel like she's gonna be that kind of like mystical whatever thing. Like it's early on, maybe a female Bray, so to speak.
Yeah, Bray may be a better, easier comparison.
Yeah. Sorry, nobody compares to the Undertaker. I'm sorry about that.
You don't want to get eviscerated by anybody, so
no, which is pretty easy.
No, you're fine.
All right, and then we get a Kiana package, and then we get another Valkyria package, and we get Jensen and Briggs versus Inoue and Blade. I thought it was a good win for Briggs and Jensen because they needed it for what's coming up for them. What are your thoughts on this? Because Inoue and Blade.
Yeah, I thought Briggs and Jensen was a good win for them, like you said. Inoue's fine. Blade again looked absolutely terrible in this match. Him and Brooks are in the ring at one point, and he just completely misses a kick, does the whole leg slap thing. But you can tell 100 miles an hour, or like from 100 miles away, that he completely misses his head and doesn't make contact at all. And then they have like a little miscommunication on like a Irish whip spot. So I don't know if I was just feeling really critical of Malik because I think I watched the previous episode we talked about and this one in the same night. So I just was really focusing in on him, I guess. But not a bad match. I thought it, like you said, it was a good win for Briggs and Jensen to kind of propel them forward. So, and they showed like some respect after the match and shook hands and all that. So good guy stuff.
Yeah, all those good guy stuff. We get a lot of that coming up too. So then we get a package for Roxanne leading into Deadline. HBK goes over the Iron Survivor Challenge rules again. Kiana then invites Jensen to Deadline. And then we get Indy Hartwell versus Fallon Henley versus Wendy Chu in the wild card spot. Indy plays the opportunistic heel role in here. And with the it gets the win. I thought this match was actually pretty good. Fallon showed some of her greenness. I thought Fallon could have had a shot though of getting in. Wendy Chu, was another possibility, but it was Indy's match to lose. I think she needed the win, and then later on, we get Toxic Attraction backstage. Indy confronts Mandy to tell her that she's going to be coming for her title. So was it the right choice at the time, do you think, for Indy to win? And what did you think of the match?
Yeah, I mean, I could have seen him going with Wendy just to get another face in the match, but I think Andy was the obvious choice. They've been obviously building a good bit behind her lately, just kind of she's either going heel or she's becoming a more aggressive side of herself. So I think they've obviously put a little bit into her in the past few weeks. So it seemed like she was the obvious choice, and I think she was. I think as we get into the match at Deadline itself, I think she was definitely a good choice to throw in there because she kind of added some size to the match that wasn't quite there. There was a lot of other smaller girls in the match, so I think she was a good brute to kind of have in there. And then the conversation backstage in the toxic lounge or whatever you want to call it, I thought was pretty good. Showed her fire, showed that she was, she meant business, and if she wins, she's gonna take that title from her. So I thought that was a really good segment there.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. I could kind of see Indy though at some point maybe joining Toxic Attraction. I think I've mentioned this before. Maybe when they get called up. If they get called up, and we'll talk about some of the changes that may happen with Toxic Attraction after the what happens in the last episode we're gonna mention. Then we get the Grayson Waller effect with all the participants that we have for the men's Iron Survivor. Of course, it breaks down into a fight where all five of them are going at it. That was a nice brawl to end the show. It's typical of a go home show. Anything of note that you could you want to bring up?
I think it was just a good segment, just a little back and forth. Like you said, it's just a regular brawl, like contract signing, just right before the pay-per-view kind of thing. And it was good to see some of these guys in the ring for the first time because, Axiom and McDonough had some stuff with the knee injury that Axiom got from JD a few weeks ago. But a lot of the, Gacy and Hayes really haven't interacted that much. Waller and Gacy haven't really interacted that much. I feel like Hayes and Waller have been in matches together, but they've never really faced each other a lot one-on-one or anything like that. So it was good to see some combination of these guys kind of going back and forth, and obviously it ends in a brawl like all these segments seem to do. So gets you excited for the match that was going to happen on Saturday after this episode aired.
Yeah. So right before we move on to Deadline, we don't talk about Level Up here really that much, but there was something that happened on a Level Up match. Saw Ruca. Okay. She's got a great look. She's athletic. Character, the surfer chick, not sure how much legs has, but she hit a finisher in her match on Level Up on December 9th. It was basically take Evan Bourne getting RKO'd by Randy Orton, but Evan Bourne would have, if you reverse that. So Evan Bourne does the whole, the move, right? The moonsault into the cutter basically, which is pretty much what she did. Mm-hmm. Now you did see it, right? You saw the move or hit the move. That was pretty. Mm-hmm. I not a lot pops me these days. There's not a lot of new things that you see that you've never seen before. That really got me. Now I'm not sure how often she could hit that, and she's got to practice on it because it's probably even tougher than the Eclipse, which I think is still has a degree of difficulty to it. Mm-hmm. But what'd you think of this move?
Oh yeah, it was incredible. When I first saw it, I couldn't really believe it. It's like she's on the middle rope and she does like a front flip, but she goes backwards and then catches her with the cutter as she's going down. So it takes a heck of a lot of precision. It takes a good person to be doing it too. Yeah. So I mean, it takes a lot of cooperation. So I don't think that's something she's going to be able to use as a finisher in every match, but maybe when she gets into some bigger matches and bigger programs, maybe that could be like the super special move that she could pull out to maybe win a title eventually, or maybe just win a big match that she may have on the PLE or one of these special episodes of TV that they have. So definitely incredible, something I've never really seen done. So everybody, it seems like everybody in the indies or on AEW or probably not WWE because Randy still does the RKO, but it seems like a lot of people do cutters as like transition moves. So it was good to see somebody else kind of pull out a cutter that might actually be a good finishing move. So
yeah, all right, yeah, that was definitely cool. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you go on the WWE YouTube page. All right, so then we move on to the premium live event NXT Deadline that took place on December 10th. We start off with the Women's Iron Survivor match. And we're not going to go over the rules, but it was, two women start, and then every 5 minutes, another woman comes in. First match goes a total of 25 minutes. Most wins or pinfall submissions gets points, and most points wins. If you get pinned or submitted, you have to go into the penalty box for 90 seconds. That comes into play where you can't, score any points, basically, which is how it goes. So then the match starts off with Roxanne and Zoe Stark. Kiana enters third. Zoe then pins Roxanne for the first point. Cora enters fourth, pins Kiana for a point. Indy enters fifth, pins Roxanne for a point. Roxanne then pins Zoe for a point. Roxanne pins Cora for a second point. Roxanne wins after avoiding everybody else with 2 to everybody else getting 1, except for Kiana gets shut out. Now, I didn't watch this live. I was catching up on it. But I thought it was a really fun match, and as we'll talk about later with the men's, they are booked differently to where they stand out for their own reasons, and I kind of like the match concept. I'm not gonna lie to you, and I hope that it stays at NXT and it becomes it's an NXT original, and it's an annual thing that they do every year. Because it was fun. I really did like it. I liked because we got some different interactions. and it was a fun match. You messaged me that the women were killing it because obviously I couldn't watch that night because I was out. But what do you think of this Women's Iron Survivor, and what do you think of the concept? How it came off?
I thought it came off really well. We'll talk about it in the men's. I think the men's came off even better. I thought it was really great. But this match was really good as well. I thought the only difference between the men and the women's, I feel like the men filled the gaps a little bit better than the women did, but it didn't ruin it or didn't make it worse or anything like that. I think they told a really good story. Perez gets a pin on Cora Jade late in the match. She has 2 and Cora Jade has 1. So Cora Jade comes out with like 45 seconds left. And right before that, Kiana had hit a Spanish fly. So honestly, I thought when that happened that Cora was going to come out with like 30 seconds left and get 2 pins and, steal it. And Roxanne was just going to, grovel and be sad again. But they actually let Perez escape with it. She ended up winning the whole thing, surviving the last few minutes with that last pinfall. It plays a role in the men's match as well, but I feel like Kiana James is kind of the outlier here. The other girls have either been there for a while or have been prominently featured, but I think Kiana James really killed it. I thought she came across really well. I thought she kind of stood out. She did that Spanish fly to Zoe at the end of the match that I was talking about. I feel like I noticed her doing a lot of good stuff throughout the match. The other girls did as well, but I feel like she kind of stood out. And maybe the person in the later match that I'm not a huge fan of may have done the exact same thing. So I have to give a lot of props to her. But Perez winning was the obvious choice. She's pretty much the only clear face in this match. So, with the heel champion, she seemed to be the obvious choice.
Yeah, and I do like that. It was tough for the women to go out there first, but I think the men going first would not have come off. It would have hurt the women, I think.
The women definitely needed to start. This was a good idea putting this first. I think you need to kind of be introduced to the concept, and they could put their stamp on it. So I think it was a good idea for sure.
Yeah. Yep. So then we move on to the women's match. We get we get Ivy and Tatum and Katana and Kaden backstage. This has got to be one of the worst interview segments I've ever seen. I mean, nobody had any personality really. It was like I'm reading off a cue card and hey, you just bring it because we're gonna be here and we're champions and da da da. I watched it and I cringed because I'm like, this is really bad. Somebody's gotta go for some extra promo classes here because I just did not like this backstage thing. Did you have anything on this?
We are doing another mutual respect angle here.
Oh God, I'm getting kind of sick of those.
Please
by the
give
way.
it to us. Oh yeah, you can have it. Cool. Bye.
That is something that NXT is really doing way too much of. Mm-hmm. I think these mutual respect things. I think it's just getting. It's okay to have one here and there, but it's really kind of getting beat to death a little bit. Maybe it's because. Some of them aren't ready for real defined characters. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm not sure, but
I don't think Kaden or Carter and Chance have a ton of people to face off, so they kind of have to go with Ivy and Tatum. I mean, they either have to do that or do Toxic Attraction for the 500th time. So you don't have many options in that women's tag division, which is another reason, like I said in our first episode, I kind of wish they didn't have multiple women's tag titles, but that they need to have their opportunities to do that kind of stuff too. So I understand it.
Yep. So then we get Alba Fire versus Isla Dawn. Really fun match. Gets the referee gets the black goo coming out of his mouth to pay off on the black mist that was spit in his face during a previous show. So he can't count the pin on Isla. Isla wins. I think it was the correct call here. Because I don't think Alba is long for NXT. Mm-hmm. And Isla just got here, and she's going I think I find her being that character that Wendy Chu was, and they were building up to be, and then they kind of just threw it in the trash, basically. Mm-hmm. I think that's what she could be, what they maybe something they were building with that character. Maybe that's where Ila's going to be, that mystical, supernatural force of the women's division in NXT. I thought it was a good match. Like I said, I'm excited for Isla, and I think Alba, is going to tread water for a bit before moving on. Any thoughts on this match and the black goo?
Yeah, the poor ref got Papa Shango'd. So,
Yes.
I think it was a good. I don't think you learn what that was supposed to be until I think it's on the next episode of TV. But I do think it was a good tied together story. I think she describes why it kind of affected the ref the way it did in the next episode of TV that we'll talk about. But I thought it was the correct call, like you said. I think Fire's kind of, like you said, treading water. She's eventually going to go up to the main roster. I think it'll be sooner rather than later. So putting the chips behind Dawn here was a good idea. And I think, like you said, she'll be a force going forward. I think she could be a contender to go for Perez going. Well, not yet, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
She could, but she could be a contender to go for the title going forward.
Yeah, I think maybe. I know we could get faction overload with the women because we have damage control up there, and we could have toxic attraction up there. I would not hate a Scottish female faction. You put her with Dewdrop and Nikki.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually kind of down with that. I gotta be honest. That would be. I don't know what you call them, like the Tartan Knights or something. I don't know. Is this Tartan Irish or Scottish? I don't know. Callum, don't kill me if I'm wrong. Okay. So then we get New Day versus Pretty Deadly. I thought this was a great match for two teams that have never been in a ring together, and kind of surprised that the New Day won. I got to be honest. I thought they were going to come down there and maybe put over them and not really, because the New Day, again, like we talk about some people, New Day are bulletproof. I think them taking a loss and putting Pretty Deadly over really doesn't hurt them because it's a different brand. But I really did enjoy this match. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, no, this was great. This was a great match. I said earlier that, I thought kind of New Day kind of got muddled in that SmackDown tag team division. This proved to me, and this proved to everybody, that they're a great tag team. If anybody ever doubted them, go watch this match because they proved everybody that they're still one of the best tag teams out there. So Pretty Deadly's good. They've always been good in the ring, but I think they really brought out their great here in this match. I think New Day was a good team to go up against them. I loved the Santa outfits that Pretty Deadly had on. They had their little half shirts that they have on with the sleeves, and they had the little, like, Santa ruffles on the ends. So I like their little outfits in this match. But just really strong, really good stuff. I was kind of surprised that the New Day won. I kind of get it. It's kind of getting a veteran team down there to compete with all these younger teams. Maybe give them a little bit more experience with somebody who has main roster, has been in front of main roster crowds, and it possibly could get more eyes on NXT. People see that the New Day are the champions. Maybe they'll watch, be more likely to watch if they see that there's a team that they've noticed from SmackDown or Raw. So I think it's a good move for New Day, and I think it's a good move for NXT. In general.
Yeah, I think Pretty Deadly played up to their opponents. Really, that's what they elevated them, which was the point. It's just, I think it's the point, like what you're saying, is of the New Day going down there, because I do like it. That if they pick their spots with these veterans going down from the main roster for these short stints, as long as it's not overload and they don't overstay their welcomes, so to speak. I am liking it, and I'm on board with this. I think the New Day will go down there. They'll give some teams some good matches until we figure out who the next tag champions. Pretty Deadly could win them back. Who knows? But I think giving some younger teams, like you said, exposure and some practice with these veterans is never a bad thing.
Exactly.
All right, so we move on to the men's Iron Survivor Challenge. We get JD McDonough and Axiom starting off. Then Carmelo enters third. Carmelo gets a point on Axiom. Then we get Grayson Waller coming in fourth, and he immediately gets pins on both Axiom and JD for points. Then JD and Axiom fight at the penalty box. Axiom pins Waller for a point and then pins JD for another point. Joe Gacy comes in fifth and makes Axiom tap out for a point. Then we get Joe Gacy pinning Mello for a point. Carmelo pins Waller for a point. Waller then pins Axiom for his third point and holds on for the win. This, like we said, the women's Iron Survivor was really great. This was even better. And it was booked so differently. The women didn't really use the penalty box at all as a factor. They did. There are a lot of there are a lot more pins in here. I thought Grayson Waller came in like a house of fire, ultimate opportunist. I thought everybody came off well. I don't think it hurt JD that he didn't get any points in the match. Was it the right call? It was, I had said I thought Grayson Waller was going to win. I think you said the same thing because it makes sense. The guy has been a great character, has been put with all these veterans. It's time to put him in the main event now. Time for him to challenge Braun. And honestly, I think he's going to beat him at some point and see how he does with a title as being the guy. What are your thoughts on the match and the outcome?
Yeah, it's probably time for a heel to kind of run NXT. So we'll see going forward if he ends up winning it or if he is just another challenger. But yeah, he definitely needs to be pushed into some kind of title feud. He either needs to be North American champion or he needs to go for the NXT title. I thought it was the correct choice of obviously. Hayes would have been the other option that I may have gone with in this situation because that's just somebody who Braun hasn't gone against. He's gone against Gacy and McDonough already, and as much as Axiom really blew it out of the water in this match, I don't see him being a challenger for Braun anytime soon.
Yeah.
But like I said with Kiana earlier, Axiom was the star of the match here for me. I just feel like he was constantly involved. I think it was a great idea for him and JD to start kind of playing off their history in NXT UK. They had a few matches back then, so I thought that was a great choice for both of them to start. I did think it was a little weird that McDonough didn't get any falls, but there was a point in the match where he hits the devil inside his little twisting power slam or his back suplex that he does where he kind of pulls him up from the ground. He hits it on like everybody, and everybody just seems to roll out of the ring. So it's not that he wasn't like killing guys. He was just he was just it just happened that he just couldn't get anybody down for the count. So I did think he has showed a good amount of desperation. There was one point where he was like holding Axiom in the penalty box, and it resulted in Axiom kind of diving off the top onto everybody. I thought that was kind of stupid. He kind of could have been in the ring going for pins and stuff like that while those guys were just sitting in the penalty box. But like you said, they used the penalty box a lot more than the women did, which the women didn't really use it at all, and they used it a good bit throughout the match. I thought that was smart. They did more falls than the women, so that was also smart. Waller coming in and immediately getting 2 falls I thought was really cool. He hit his finisher on McDonough and Axiom, so I thought him getting 2 falls was really smart there. But yeah, Waller was the choice, I think, here. It's a fresh matchup with him and Braun. I don't think they've really faced each other at all. Maybe they've interacted in a tag match, but I don't even think they've done that really. So, but that'll be an interesting match to see going forward. I think those 2 guys could have a pretty good banger match. So, I'm excited to see Waller get a shot.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to that as well. So we get Drew Gulak interview backstage. Damon Kemp comes and introduces himself. This is a guy that I'm like, this guy needs something. I think he's still pretty green, but he needs he needs some kind of direction. And putting him with Drew in like a faction, yeah, like you said, could be like a Diamond Mine 2.0 where he is more protected, I guess, so to speak, and his flaws are not as exposed. And then we get the main event with Braun versus Apollo. It was a good match, back and forth. Braun wins, of course. I didn't think Apollo really stood a chance in this. And then we get a Waller attack post-match to kind of say, like, look, I won the Iron Survivor. I'm the number 1 contender. I'm taking your belt, which is what he said. Any thoughts on the Braun Apollo match?
Yeah, see, I think in the last episode I said I was looking forward to this one, and I still was looking forward to it when it happened. But with all the fishing stuff and the diner talk and all that kind of stuff, it kind of made me realize that like Apollo has no chance to win this match. Like I said, throughout the match, he does the little eyes thing to make it seem like he had some kind of vision that he was going to like snap or something like that. And he kind of does. He kind of goes a little bit wild for a second, really throws some aggression at Braun, but throughout the whole build to this, it kind of less and less made me feel like Apollo was going to pull this off. Not that I really thought he was going to in the first place, but just another title defense for Braun. I think Braun looked good. You know, he hits the spear and all of his cool moves throughout the match, but this was pretty cut and dry that he was going to retain here. So not the most thrilling from a possibly seeing him lose kind of situation. So not his best match, but also it was fairly solid at the same time.
All right. All in all, I thought Deadline was a really solid show. Really, really good matches. I don't think there was really a bad match on the card. I thought the concept of the Iron Survivor really came off well, and some surprise booking decisions, but some right booking decisions. Any final thoughts on Deadline?
I was going to ask you a question real quick. Would you have main evented with the men's Iron Survivor instead of the title match, or would you go on with the title match?
I think because we get the Waller attack at the end, I think it's the right call. I mean, because what happens, typical what would happen would be Waller wins the Iron Survivor, and then Braun comes out, kind of get the stare down with no touching. I mean, I think with the other way around, I think with Waller doing the attack, it kind of ends the show. It's like the whole the stare down, the mutual shows of respect. I'm tired of that kind of stuff. and I like to see something different, and it plays into Waller's character. I mean, that's how he's been the whole time since he's been there. He's been getting those opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. And I my only thing, I would have swapped him just because I feel like the crowd was pretty cooked after that Iron Survivor men's match. But I think that probably would have happened either way. They either would have. Yeah, it was just an exciting show. So like you said, it was a really good show. I think I was listening to Clotheslines and Headlines, and I think Mike Rossi that's on that show was talking about the Iron Survivor match. I think it was a really good concept because it gets the crowd involved. They constantly can count when the penalty box is about to get out. So, any kind of match, like that's why the Royal Rumble is so popular, because like every, however many minutes between entrants, you can do the 10 count, and it's exciting whenever it goes off and who the next superstar is. So I think that was a good part of that match as well. I'll kind of steal that idea from him, that if you can get the crowd interacting with the match, I think it makes it a little bit more exciting for everybody. So, but great show. I think, I don't think there was a bad match at all. I think they were varying levels of good. I could see people maybe shitting on the black goo thing in the Isla Dawn Alpha Fire match, but as described in the next episode we'll talk about, I think they kind of pay it off. So, but yeah, great show.
Yeah. I also like the use of the penalty box because it takes somebody out, and it goes into like the strategy. It's like, oh no, you're in the penalty box. You only got so much time to win. You got to catch up. You're out of the match for so long. Mm-hmm. So I did like that part of it. So, okay. So let's move on to the last show we're going to talk about on this episode, which is the follow-up episode of NXT from December 13th. Starts off with Roxanne in the ring talking about her win, and then Grayson Waller interrupts. Then Braun comes out, and we get Grayson distracting Braun, and he chases him through the crowd. Mandy jumps Roxanne from behind. Roxanne then challenges Mandy for her title match. She's not going to wait till New Year's Evil. So I like that we get Roxanne out there. We like that we get Waller. We get all basically the champions and number one contenders all in the opening segment. And what were your thoughts though? Like when we're like, oh my God, we're getting this match tonight. What because nothing had hit yet on what was happening back behind the scenes. So were you surprised that we're getting the Mandy Roxanne match?
Yeah, well, yeah, it surprised me. I was kind of thinking, obviously it would either be at New Year's Evil or Vengeance Day, whichever the one they wanted to promote a little bit. But um, I also thought it could be like, the plucky babyface doing the stupid thing where they ask for their title shot too quickly and they fail again, and then maybe somehow get another title shot down the road. But yeah, I was kind of shocked that they went straight into it. But I thought, like you said, I thought it was a good idea that they put all the both champions and their number one contenders out there to start the show. So really good stuff.
All right. So we got Wes Lee versus Stax. We got Wes with the win with his flipping back kick. I think Stax really show that he's still green and he needs a lot more experience than we get. Here's what I thought. Dijak comes out post match. And I really love this spot here where Dijak gets up on the ring apron, and you could see in his mirrored sunglasses, Tony D getting behind Wesley, and then he attacks him, and we get a nice Tony D kind of telling off Dijak, which takes balls. You got a guy that size, that menacing looking, and you're going to tell him off, telling him I just did your job for you, basically. I think we could get a triple threat match at New Year's Evil, actually, with the three of these guys. But I thought Wesley looked good. I thought all of them looked good. Tony, Dijak, I think they're all building a case, and that could be where we're going. So, what are your thoughts on this match and the way it goes?
Yeah, I think we're definitely kind of building to a three-way at some point. It'll probably be at New Year's Evil, since that seems to be where they're building all the title matches to at this point. But I thought Stax held his own in this match. Wesley was obviously the focus. It was to get him over. Get him. He's the North American champion. It was to promote that he's one of their best guys and he's one of their champions. So I thought it was a pretty solid match. Just a feature to get him over a little bit more. I did like the little thing that you're talking about with the sunglasses, and you can kind of see Tony D coming from behind. But it's just to further that little angle with D'Angelo and Lee. Whether they have a match by themselves and then maybe Dijak gets the winner, or it eventually leads to a triple threat. But good storyline progression for sure.
Yeah, as much as I do like Wesley, I don't think he's going to hold the belt that long. I think one of these two guys could be taking it off him. I think if Tony D takes it, you got some character stuff, you can go there. I think if Dijak takes it, he's just going to dominate. I think he's going to be your badass champion. That's just going to, because we need a heel champ anyway. Both of our your singles title holders are faces right now. So I think we need something. We need a heel with a belt right now. Then we get Duke backstage talking to Drew Gulak. He gets caught by Andre and Thea. To kind of continue on, I don't know if I really see Duke in that group that they may be building to. I think Duke's doing fine with his Chase U stuff, but he needs a better character, which I hope he'll get, because I didn't love the poker player. I thought that was one of those things that was like, okay, let's throw all these different gimmicks up on the board, and okay, you're going to be a poker player, you're going to be a professor, you're going to be this person. It was like that. It was kind of like who do you want to play today kind of thing. I think Duke is really good. I think he's got some size that you don't realize how big a guy he really is until, like, when he's backstage, he's big, but in the ring, he that's where really his size really comes over. What do you think of this of the continuation with the Duke and the Andre stuff?
Yeah, he's a hoss for sure. He's a big old boy. So, but yeah, another good kind of teasing that maybe this partnership isn't long for this world. Him talking to Gulak, maybe he'll go over to Gulak's little stable that he may be building. But they kind of make fun of the whole transfer portal thing that's going on with college football right now. Like, everybody's entering the transfer portal, so they talk about him, transferring Chase U to whatever Gulak's doing. But he assures them he's staying, and he's Chase U all the way through, and he's going to give Damon Kemp a Chase University sized ass whooping. So yeah, I thought it was really solid. I didn't expect Duke to get as over in this little Chase U thing as he has, but I think he's really showing that he could be a pretty good fired up babyface. So yeah, I've been impressed by him.
Yeah, see, I don't watch college football, so I didn't catch the transfer poll. But you, being a former co-author of Campus Hot Takes on PlaceMeNation.com with the Podfather, would pick up on that immediately. So I'm glad you pointed that out.
It's been a big thing in college football this year. Like a huge amount of people have entered the transfer portal to go to different universities because they can make more money at this one or they can get more playing time at this one. So it's been a big hot topic the beginning of this off season. So
I like that. Yeah, I like that they keep current, I guess, with it, making the whole trying to legitimize as much as you can a wrestling university faction or something. Yeah. So I'm glad you picked up on that, and actually makes me like it even more. So then we get Toxic Attraction versus Ivy and Tatum, and we get the champs on commentary, and we have a decent match going on, and then of course the champs get involved and becomes a three-team brawl, and the match gets thrown out. I thought it was good progression. Like you said, there's no real teams right now for them to challenge outside of these two, I guess, for the women. So it makes sense to put them all together and just kind of throw them into the mix. What are your thoughts on how this angle is played out here?
Yeah, I saw the little match was taking place, but this was obviously a storyline progression to get to a maybe three-way title match that they would have eventually. So this was definitely just all story. Like I said, there's not too many. This is pretty much the tag division right here. It's the Toxic Girls and then the Diamond Mine Girls. So it'll be interesting to see the match whenever it may happen or does happen. But this is pretty much the entire tag division right here. So they have to put something together.
All right. Then we get Fallon backstage with Briggs and Jensen for a short spot. We get Mello and Trick backstage. I think they're starting to show. Trick is kind of been giving Mello some crap. I can see them building to something with these two guys where Trick's going to go out on his own, maybe take out Mello and give maybe Mello gets a babyface run before he goes up to the main roster. What do you think about that?
Yeah, they're definitely starting to tease something like, he's giving him a little bit more crap and he's kind of shitting on him a little bit more than he was at the beginning. He's kind of his hype man at the first, but now he's kind of like, Axiom made you posterized you in this picture of him diving over you in the penalty box. So, he kind of shit on him a little bit. So maybe it could lead to a face turn for Carmelo, and maybe they could have a match or two down the road.
Mm-hmm. All right. Then we get Von Wagner versus Odyssey Jones. Odyssey ends up winning with interference from Blade and Inoue. Wagner, the guy,
he's an enigma.
Yeah, because I'm like, of course, Odyssey Jones is a returning guy. He's got to get the win, but Wagner is just every time he seems to get one step forward, he takes two steps back. Right? Do you agree with that?
Yeah. I mean, he was the guy who took the fall in the wild card match. He obviously lost to Braun in their match, and then he takes the loss here. Like you said, Odyssey's just coming back, so he kind of needs a win. But I don't know if Vaughn's the guy that I would have put him in there with. But they obviously had the story with the Malik sweater stuff. So, yeah. But yeah, Wagner's definitely trending down for sure.
Yeah, I think Wagner, his best bet is if he does get moved on, that he's put in that bodyguard Diesel type role for a while, where he's not going to wrestle that much, but he'll get protected and he'll get over, I guess, because I think he'll get super exposed if he goes up to Raw or SmackDown now. I think he's too green for the room. I mean, maybe a Rumble spot. But I don't really see. Yeah, he's an enigma, and Robert Stone I kind of like because he can take bumps and he's got that annoying smarmy heel manager-ness to him. But they got to do something a little bit more with him too as well. He's got to have some more clients, I guess. Mm-hmm. Can't just have this guy that hardly ever wins, basically.
Yeah. Vaughn probably going forward needs to be somebody's like bodyguard or somebody's like, so like you said, like somebody's Diesel. Like he needs to be his like muscle and enforcer and kind of take out guys when he needs them to. And Vic Joseph, one of the commentators, was shitting on Mr. Stone throughout this match, calling him like great value James Bond because Mr. Stone started wearing this like strap across his chest that looked like something that James Bond would wear. So he was crapping on him throughout the whole match. But yeah, Vaughn definitely needs some kind of direction. I kind of wasn't a fan of him giving the or the NXT title shot in the first place. But he has size. He looks impressive. He may not necessarily sound impressive, but he definitely looks impressive. So I think he should definitely be somebody's muscle. Maybe he could be kind of brought into the D'Angelo family. I know he's not very Italian or anything like that, but he could kind of be their muscle that takes guys out for him.
I don't think Stacks and Two Dons were very Italian either. Though.
Well, yeah.
Just get a guy say, "Oh, hey, move the hands." That's enough for a family gimmick, I guess, in wrestling, right? I mean, come on, they had Tracy Smothers in ECW as part of the FBI. So,
yeah, that's true.
Anybody could be anybody in wrestling. That's all that because wrestling. We say because comics, because wrestling. Then we get a Big Body Javy backstage interview and then it leads to a match that got teased on the last episode of NXT where he takes on Eichmann Euro. And I thought this was a fun, quick match. I like Euro. I hate the jacket, but I like Euro. And then post match we get Scripps attacking Euro, takes his jacket off, and he hits him with that flip over sit down splash, right? Mm-hmm. That Reggie, dudes, we all know it's fucking Reggie. Come on. So I guess Scripps is now a heel. Originally, I think he was going to be a face, but now he's a heel because I think they know that everybody hated the reveal of who it was, and they hate the costume. Even my son is like, dude, he's like, Dad, that's so dumb. I hate that mask. he's like, I don't like it. Well, what do you think of? Well, one, our favorite son here, Big Body Javy. I love seeing Euro back on TV, and I guess look, we're gonna boo Scripps. Might as well give us even more of a reason to boo him, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And Javy has the interview with McKenzie before the match trying to name his fan base, and he ends up landing on Big Body Believers, so the triple Bs that he has out in the crowd. But yeah, it was good to see Jiro. This is a match that would probably main event a lot of Level Up episodes. This is definitely one that's been on there a bunch. But these guys have good chemistry. I thought the match was pretty good for as short as it was. These guys are definitely both cromulent in the ring. They're good guys. They're solid talents. They just may need a little bit more to them. I mean, I don't think Jiro's going to go much further than he probably is right now. I think he's just going to kind of be that like solid guy that can have a good match here and there and could kind of put over the newer guys. But yeah, Scripps, he changed the mask a little bit. He got rid of the like tassels and stuff and added these like little Rey Mysterio wing looking things around the mouth area, but still looks stupid and still is dumb. Yeah, I'm interested to see where it goes going forward, just to see what they kind of do with it, but I'm still not super into it.
Yeah, I like Euro, but I just see Yoshitatsu, next generation version of Yoshitatsu, which because I think I don't know, maybe.
He plays his role for sure.
He plays his role. He could be like, maybe, I know this is going to sound bad. Like he could be in that when Tajiri, who was a badass when he was being goofy, or like Tozawa, being goofy. That's kind of a Vince thing, really. I think they won't make it as bad as Vince would make it. I think Triple H and Shawn know the line not to cross when it comes to some of these kind of things that they angles. But yeah, I just hope he doesn't fall into that because I think he's solid. I also, like I said, I want to see him get rid of the jacket. It just boggles me that he wrestles like that. It boggles me when some people wrestle in other outfits, like Andre Chase. Like I would die, like with all that shit on. So I don't get it. But so then we get a Wendy Chu package. She talks about all of her issues growing up with being bullied and the drinks in the face and all that. Then we get the New Day coming out for a promo. Pretty Deadly then comes out to try to get their rematch. Then we get Briggs and Jensen coming out and end up doing the Pledge of Allegiance to get a title match. I think I was like, I just all you know what phrase was going in my head. What are we doing? Really? I mean, I was like, I'm all for it, but it's not Memorial Day, it's not July 4th, it's not
it's not any kind of patriotic holiday.
Yeah, like it's mid-December and we're doing a Pledge of Allegiance to get an NXT tag title match. So any thoughts on the Wendy Chu package and then the New Day with their promo with Pretty Deadly and Briggs and Jensen?
Yeah, I kind of on our last episode talked about I thought maybe the whole drink in the face would unlock a different side of Wendy Chu, but I think she kind of walked it in this promo a little bit. I think she's still going to kind of be the slumber party, onesie wearing, wacky Wendy Chu that she has been. I kind of was disappointed. I was hoping she would be a little bit more. I mean, she came off as mad and all that kind of stuff, but I was hoping she would come off as like real aggressive and pissed in this one. But she kind of played her little goofy self. But the whole Pledge of Allegiance thing, they tried to get Pretty Deadly to say it, so I think they were trying to get like the British guys to say our national anthem and all that kind of stuff. So I think it was funny in that aspect, but the fact that Briggs and Jensen just came out and did it. So, and then they pointed out a guy in the crowd that had a Santa costume on, and they said, "We can't lie, Santa's in the crowd, he's right there." So,
I know, I like that they played that up. Mm-hmm.
I thought that was really funny, but yeah, kind of ridiculous, but funny at the same time.
Yeah, they had to get them in a title match somehow, I guess, to get them on the next episode. So we get Indy and Elektra get into a fight backstage with the rest of the women's locker room breaking it up. Then we get JD McDonough versus Brutus Creed. It was a pretty solid match, actually. And when JD was going to use a chair, and again, Indus Sher takes it away, and JD ends up winning the match with that finisher. I forgot what you called it, but I thought he hit it really well too. Like Brutus landed like it did. I knew he was safe, but it looked like he really got all of it. I thought it was solid. I think Brutus is not as crisp in the ring as his brother is, but I thought it was good, and they continue the Indus Sher thing. So any thoughts on the Indy and Elektra fight, and then we get the JD and Brutus match?
Yeah, it just continues to push that Elektra Indy feud going forward, and it kind of now is Indy going to be a face because Elektra is kind of a heel, so it kind of keeps her in a little bit of limbo as well. So, but I'm looking forward to them eventually having a match. I thought Brutus held his in this match with JD. Julius, I think, like you said, is a little bit more crisp in the ring, so that match probably is going to get more stars than this match did, but I thought they wrestled together really well. The Devil Inside is what his finisher is called. So he hit one on the outside that I thought was really gross looking, and then he, like you said, went in the ring and hit another one and finished him off. So I like that he kind of got the win on the younger brother of the Creed brothers, and he struggled a little bit more with the older brother and a little bit more experienced brother. So, but yeah, solid match. Obviously, just to push the Creed brother into Sheer thing a little bit further.
All right, then we get a Zoe promo, mostly Nikita. I do kind of like Zoe kind of finally starting to show some personality, be a badass. I think this Nikita thing needs to only go so long before we need to see her like with other people, and we need to start seeing Nikita do some other things. We get a Lyra Valkyria promo. I'm gonna butcher these names, yeah. Then we get an Alba and Isla recap for where Isla talks about her powers. Then we get Amari Miller, basically the female jobber to the Stars, versus Valkyria in her debut, and Valkyria wins it, and very impressive. I like this girl. I think she's going to be be a star. Any thoughts though on these the Zoe promo and the Alba and Isla recap and the debut match?
Yeah, I thought Zoe came off real aggressive, like you said. I thought she came off pretty well. Give her a little more the heel turns, giving her a little bit more personality. So I definitely enjoyed that. Yeah, like you said, this Nikita thing needs to kind of happen and happen quickly, because I don't think this is something that's going to have legs to last super long. But because I think, I feel like Zoe's probably going to get the win when they eventually have a match. So I think Lyons kind of needs to get put into something where she can get a few victories, kind of build herself up. And this is where Isla Dawn kind of talks about the magic that she used, like the powder mix that she made into the mist to spray at the ref, kind of poisoned him or whatever, and kind of hung with him. So that's what I was talking about earlier, but kind of talked about how she took out Alba Fire too. So just to get Isla on the episode and kind of show her a little bit more, kind of show a little bit more what she's about and what she's up to. So, and then Valkyria, I thought the debut was pretty good. She did seem a little out of sorts at certain points, but I think it put across like what she is and who she's going to be. So I think it was a solid debut.
All right, good. Then we get an Axiom interview backstage, and then Jensen and Kiana talk backstage. She gives him a nice shirt to wear, and then we get the six ladies from earlier in the show. The tag champs, Ivy and Tatum and Toxic Attraction, get into a brawl. Then we get into Duke Hudson versus Damon Kemp. It's just an okay match. Like I said, Kemp is still very green. Duke wins, and he needs. I'm interested to see where Duke is going to go after this. So, any thoughts on the Axiom interview? The interaction. I kind of like this interaction with Briggs Jensen, who I've been down on, but I think this is kind of leading into his character. With Kiana kind of manipulating him. So I'm kind of liking this part of it. And then we get that brawl and then the Duke versus Damon Kemp match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Axiom was like playing with Mackenzie in this interview, like, look into my eyes when you obviously can't see his eyes because he has the mask on. And, he says he has a big smile on his face, but you obviously can't see it. So, but he's basically just saying he's not worried about Carmelo. Carmelo kind of challenged him to a match earlier in the show. So, they'll face each other next week, I'm guessing. And then, pushing the Kiana thing. I think she's just going to continue to try to manipulate Brooks, Jensen a little bit, and maybe I don't really know where it's going to head, but it's obviously going to cause some tension with Fallon and her. So we'll see where that goes. Got him a new dress shirt that actually fits, so he doesn't have the baggy cut off sleeves that he always has. But and then the Toxic Attraction tag title, the whole brawl thing was pretty good. And then Damon, like you said, Damon's pretty green, so it wasn't the best match, but it got over Duke and got him a win, which he doesn't get too many of in his current character. So it was good to see him get a win.
All right, cool. So then we get the main event of the final show we're going to talk about this week. We get Roxanne Perez challenging Mandy Rose for the NXT Women's title. I thought this was a great match. I kind of had a feeling going in Roxanne was going to win just because of everything they're building up to. I didn't think it was going to happen on an NXT TV show, though. I thought it was going to be, we were going to get this on a premium live event. Mandy had it for 413 days, and as the show ends, Mandy looks clearly upset and disappointed. And we are going to find out why in just a moment. But were you shocked? Like I said, were you shocked that we get this match tonight? But were you shocked that Roxanne actually wins the title tonight? And what are your thoughts on the match? And we'll talk about Mandy's title run and the aftermath after.
Yeah, I was completely shocked. I think that night I had gone to bed a little earlier because I had, woken up a little bit earlier that day before. So I think I actually fell asleep before this match that night. So I actually didn't see it till the next day, and I saw the stuff, and I was like, oh my God, how did she win? That's no way, So I was kind of really surprised when I woke up the next day that she had won. But yeah, it was a really good match. It was it was really interesting to see Roxanne was the first person to be able to kick out of the running knee that Mandy does. Usually when she hits that, that's ball game. It's over. So it was good to kind of show her that she was able to kick out of that, and that's how she became champion. After that, she hit the kick to the stomach and then hit Pop Rocks for the win. So yeah, I probably would have. Obviously, we'll talk about what happened. But this was probably a spot where I could have seen Cora coming out and kind of screwing her if Mandy was going to retain. So, but it's an interesting direction going forward. But it was sad to see Mandy's title reign that lasted so long end on a TV episode. But it shows that you need to tune in every week because anything can happen. So, yeah. I think that's smart at the same time. But they obviously did it for reasons that weren't booking reasons other than outside stuff. So, but yeah, good match.
Yeah, I love Pop Rocks. That those power bombs, like those sunset flip bombs and stuff like that. I love that. That's one of my favorite moves, and she executes it so well. I think because when she hits that back kick, that's what's going to happen, and she does like just that plucky little pop up and boom. Because everybody does it a little differently. Like Cena did it, like with their hands up in the air and everything like that. Yeah, I do really pop for that move. All right, so turns out, they had to get the title off Mandy because Mandy was fired after this because of content she was putting on. It's not OnlyFans, it's fan something else, right? It's an OnlyFans type thing where she had behind a paywall. Was having some, we'll just say she was doing some ratings on some things for some men, and she was showing some very not safe for work material, and I guess it wasn't in line with what the WWE or NXT want their performers to be doing, and they had to get the title off of her, and it was just, good timing that they had Roxanne there ready to go and made sense for storyline wise. But, literally like I had to go back and kind of get caught up on notes and everything like that. And I watched the ending and you just see Mandy's face. Like there's some real emotion there and upset because she knew that this was going to be her last match for a while. And then her kind of run, look, I'm not saying that she's like the next Trish Stratus, but you look at Trish. When Trish first came in, she was a fitness model, she was a manager, and she really worked to become one of the greatest female superstars of all time. Mandy was having that kind of transformation where she was a pretty face, and she did, she wasn't for the Miz saving her, she would have been fired on the NXT show, or Tough Enough. She would have been fired on Tough Enough. She would have been let go and eliminated, I guess, so to speak. And she came in and she was brought up too soon. And really her going back to NXT was such a good thing with the kind of the change of her look a little bit to the brunette and just being this badass and teaming up with Gigi and JC. She really, you look at Mandy from 2 years ago to Mandy now, it's like almost like a 180. Like she was good, but she wasn't like this good. She was great. I would dare say it was a great run, and it's sad it came to an end kind of abruptly. But look, there are so many opinions out there, and I'm not going to get into a debate on should she have been fired, should they have been fired, should be doing it. Look, it is what it is. They made the decision, and one thing that I keep seeing though is that the door is not closed on Mandy. Like it's just like we just need to kind of figure this out. I don't know if they made the right decision, if it was a wrong call, and all. But I'm sad that she's not going to be around. I'm hoping that she'll return at some point. But what are your thoughts on Mandy's run and how you're feeling about her? Being let go, like, not to give your opinion on whether you agree or disagree with it, but just generally, just like what you're feeling.
Yeah, it's a huge bummer. I mean, I even feel bad for the other toxic girls, like, JC and Gigi. I mean, they rely on her to be their leader and stuff like that. So I feel like they may, feel kind of aimless for a little bit. I obviously would have, brought them up as a group to the main roster, but I just don't know if I bring them two up by themselves. I feel like they've kind of done everything they can do in NXT, so they kind of need to go up. But I really think, Mandy would have been that steadying force to kind of go with them. But yeah, it's a huge bummer. She was doing so good. She had such a good run. Like I said, I would have liked to have seen her lose on a paper or a PLE or even at least a special TV episode or whatever. Because she's had such a good reign, she's been such a good champion. So yeah, just a huge bummer. Obviously, like you said, the door isn't closed, but yeah, she has this fan time, I think is what the website is called, page. It's even like it's like her own website, but she runs it through them or something like that.
Yeah, they host it or something.
But yeah, she has some kind of she has racy photos or whatever you want to say. It really came down to corporate sponsors and stuff like that. I think if Mattel hadn't stepped in and done all or said something and said like, all right, we can't have this going in, they would have just suspended her, might have said, hey, hold back. But I do think they gave her the opportunity they gave her the ultimatum, like, you need to stop doing this to this level, and we can keep you around. Maybe we'll suspend you. But, I think she kind of said, I'm making bank on this. I can't give it up. So, like, maybe eventually we can work something out. But I think they gave her the opportunity to say, hey, I'll pull it back a little bit, because it was getting a little out of control, I'll even say. But yeah, I would have loved if they just suspended her. And, that's, they had to get the title off of her from that, but I hate that she got fired. And I hope she comes back one day. And I hope I hope Gigi and JC don't kind of muddle after this without their leader. Yeah.
So we'll talk about that in a moment, where Toxic Attraction as a faction could go, because there are rumors also about what could happen with them. All right. So let's do our stock up, stock down. All right. Obviously, no-brainer for stock up. Roxanne Perez, definitely. She's the new NXT Women's Champion. I'm curious to see where she goes with this. Do you have give me one of your stock ups this month?
The other one that's obvious, pretty much, Grayson Waller. He won the Iron Survivor. He's going to be the next contender for Braun, so him for sure.
Yep. I got Dijak also coming along as a character. I like that. Actually, Indy Hartwell. I think she got a lot of TV time in the last 4 shows. I think she's may not have won a lot, but she definitely had some really good showings.
Yeah, absolutely. Isla Dawn, somebody else I would put on there. She, kind of debuted in our last set of episodes, and she won a match against Alba Fire. She squashed somebody in one of the other episodes. So she's obviously going to be a good driving force for the women division going forward. So her for sure.
Yeah. I'd actually put Pretty Deadly, even though they lost the titles. I thought they looked really good in the ring. I thought their character work was really good this last 4 shows. And I'm good to see him. And JD also. JD had another strong month, even though, he didn't win everything. And just because I love the guy, he's goofy. We mentioned him. Seeing Jiro back. I like him. I'm going to put his stock up.
I gotcha. Right. Axiom's one other person I would put in just for that Iron Survivor match. I think he thought he really blew it out of the water. So,
okay, cool. All right, stock down. Who you got?
Von Wagner really came off really bad in this one. He lost the Iron Survivor wild card match. He took the pin in that, and then Odyssey pretty much squashed him. So, him for sure.
Yeah, I got Fallon. I think Fallon took a little step back. I think she's going to be the losing end in this feud with Kiana James. I think some chicanery is going to go on, and that bar is going to be taken away, and also losing that triple threat, which I thought she could have had a shot at. You got another stock down?
I'm trying to think of anybody else that I thought really didn't do very well. Do you have anybody else while I'm thinking?
Yeah. Well, Zion Quinn, because he's a perennial stock down. Hank Walker. Javi, just because we don't like him. Alba.
Alba's kind of struggled again.
I think Alba is like we said, treading water. She's putting Hila over and whoever else she's going to be, because I think she's up by the Rumble. I think if not before the Rumble, she's going to be an entrant. I honestly think. And actually Joe Gacy, because we had so much buildup with with him leading up to this his faction was not on TV once on these shows. He was the last one in. I know he got the submission on Axiom in the Iron Survivor match, but he really wasn't as much of a factor in that match. Then probably the least factor actually in the Iron Survivor match. So I'm actually going to put Joe Gacy a stock down this month.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick as well. Damon Kemp, I didn't think looked too good in his match, and I can't believe it slipped my mind, but Malik Blade was pretty bad in both of his matches this month. So definitely those two are people that I would put in there as well.
All right. Now we talked about maybe Vaughn, maybe Alba. Anybody else you see going up in the next month or so?
I mean, it depends on what happens at New Year's Evil with the NXT title match. But if Waller can somehow pull it out, maybe Braun goes up, and I think he's definitely in the Rumble either way. But he might stay after the Rumble if he happens to lose. So him's pretty much him and Alba are pretty much the only two I could see.
Actually, I could see Braun in the Rumble, and then maybe going up in the draft that is rumored for after WrestleMania.
Okay, yeah, that could make sense.
Yeah, I could actually see Grayson Waller if he's the NXT champion. Mm-hmm. I could see him in the Rumble too.
Yeah, I think they'll probably keep the belt on Breaker after New Year's Evil. I think he may lose it at either Vengeance Day or Stand and Deliver to either Waller or Hayes going forward. But I definitely think I think they'll keep it on him after New Year's Evil so he can be in the Rumble and they can say the NXT champions in the Royal Rumble. So that was what I was going for there.
So all right. So the rumor going around is that Chelsea Green's on her way back to WWE, and that's been a rumor for a little while. Mm. Now the latest is that she could be coming in to lead Toxic Attraction in Mandy's place. Now I don't know if they'll have her come to NXT for a short bit to lead Toxic Attraction, or they come up to the main roster and she debuts as the new leader there. What do you think on that?
I'm not huge on her. I think she's obviously super popular because of who she's married to. She's married to Matt Cardona, so she's good in the ring. She's not great. That could be a good fit. I don't think she's quite as bitchy or she's more crazy than she is an asshole like Mandy kind of was.
She's not the mean girl.
Yeah, she's not the mean girl. She's more like the crazy, wacky girl that will focus in on something and be really obsessed with it. So I could see it fitting. I definitely think it needs to be on the main roster just because I think the other girls are have kind of done what they need to do in NXT. They've won the tag titles twice. They just kind of keep hanging around. So I definitely think if that's something they're going to do, they need to do it on the main roster.
Yeah, there was a rumor going around that they were going to do almost like a not a Toxic Attraction, but like a Charlie's Angel, like a Mean Girl Charlie's Angels thing with Chelsea Green, Santana Garrett, and Aaliyah. I think at one point there was talk of that, and then they end up letting two out of the three of them go. So there went that. I low key love Santana Garrett, by the way. I don't know if she's still coaching now because I know they had brought her back to coach, but I think she's somebody that I would love to see them bring back as well. I think there's been 15 or 18 people I read today that have been brought back by Triple H so far. Yeah.
They were doing the Thanos gauntlets at first, but now it's filled up 2 whole hands. So it's
that's awesome. Yeah. All right. So, and then future of Apollo Crews, how much longer do we see him staying in NXT?
I don't know. I think he could stay down there for a good little bit. I think I've read that tonight they may have pushed him into a different feud going forward. I won't say who yet, but I think they did put him in a new feud on tonight's episode. So We'll see where that goes, but I think he'll hang around for a while. Just keep having matches, good matches with these guys. He may not ever reach that great level, but he's definitely putting in good work with those guys.
All right, and then just really like kind of interested to see what's going to happen with this Drew Gulak thing. Like what kind of faction he's gonna build up there, and kind of what's the are we going to see the end game of this Chase U angle within the next by the time we record next?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then what happens with the women's title? Who goes after Roxanne first? That you would think Cora's the obvious answer, but we'll see what happens with that. And then eventually we'll see the Waller and Breaker match that I hope will end up being really good, and we'll see who comes out on top on that one.
All right, very cool, awesome. So quick programming note. So our regular date, I guess, monthly drop date will be the last Wednesday of every month. So that means you're hearing this on December 28th. Our next episode should drop on January 25th. So we're going to try to get into that routine. Obviously, when there are premium live events, we could do an extra episode here and there just because, talking about, more than 4 episodes or 4 shows is a lot for us to talk about and a lot to ask you to listen to for the time. So we're going to try to keep these, 2 4 shows per episode. So just a quick programming note. But Logan, great month, I thought, at NXT. I'm looking forward to New Year's Evil and what's coming because I think there's some a little turnover coming, and it should be fun. Again, that's why I wanted to do an NXT show because the people we're talking about now are not going to be the same people we could be talking about in 6 months. Mm-hmm. It's always going to be new things for us to talk about, new directions, new angles, new people debuts, or people coming from the main roster. It's not going to get stale. That's really what I mean. Like, and I'm not saying that Raw and SmackDown are going to get stale, but the roster there, that they're there for the long haul, for the most part. And NXT, these are people learning, they're developing, and a lot of them are going to be heading to red or blue. So that's what's fun about doing this show for me.
Yeah. I mean, it's super, super fun doing that for those reasons. It's always changing. It's always evolutionizing or reinventing itself. So definitely a interesting topic to go on and talk about.
All right. Anything you want to promote before we call it a night?
Just a few things real quick. We had an episode of YouTube Roulette come out this past weekend. We actually watched a World Wrestling All-Stars pay-per-view. We watched the whole thing as kind of a Christmas special. So that was a short-lived Australian promotion that kind of led to TNA, but kind of didn't at the same time. It had some TNA guys in it, but that was an interesting one for us to watch. Let's just say Scott Shiflett was on his shit that night. So, as he usually is, but he was a little bit more extra on it that night. For sure.
Yeah, I do plenty of pods with Schiff. I know when he's on the shitlet.
Yeah. But the 7 Months of Danger pod also came out this weekend on Sunday. It was our 10th episode. So check that one out. And then Highway to the Impact Zone is the show that I host. We're going through 2006 TNA right now. Our most recent episode was a pay-per-view, Final Resolution 2006, and then we're going to get into the TV after that, headed to Against All Odds. So that's what I got.
All right, cool. As for me, actually, we just dropped recently the first pod version of Streaming the Classics. So as you all know, we've talked about Stream Lounge on plenty of pods. I do a lot of them for the pop feed. For Laughing Theater, where my Pixar Live Watch, which Logan has been on, as well as for Blockbuster Rewatch with the MCU, and I'll be moving out of the MCU soon because I'm pretty much caught up and doing some other stuff on there, and they all get released as pods. But on Stream Lounge now with Peacock, there are, we can do wrestling live watches over there, and then we will release them as pods. Some of them, not every stream will be released as a pod. There's only so many times you could talk about a certain show or do a live watch of a certain show in pod form. But yeah, there's going to be plenty of live watches on there with January on the horizon. That means the Royal Rumble. And I know myself, I will be doing at least 3 Royal Rumble live watches. So keep an eye out for those. as well as, I know the Podfather is planning on doing a couple, and, who knows, other people are starting to get excited about it. Steve Riddle is going to be doing watching the first episode of Raw to commemorate the 30th anniversary on January 11th. And there'll be other things. I know Mike Cook is going to be hosting a Royal Rumble. I think he said he's going to do 92. So lots to look out for with Stream Lounge, and then later on being released as streaming the classics here on the Wrestling Network. Over on the Pop feed, lots of great shows that I am a part of. Traders of the Lost Ark just released our second episode recently, where we did a Batman and Superman storyline, a Crisis on Infinite Earth kind of thing. It totally just did not sit well with me. Sorry, Schiff. What was I'm still new to reading comics, and this was like a little advanced for me to like buy into and kind of get on board with. Next month we're looking at doing actually a comic arc that I have read, and it's G.I. Joe versus the Transformers, a 4 comic book run that we're going to talk about on that. So also Laugh in Theater, Logan, you and Sean were on the Christmas Story Live Watch, which just dropped recently. That was a lot of fun. I'm glad that we had some differing opinions going into that episode, made for a great conversation.
I feel like I behaved.
You did behave, and Sean, behaved for the most part, and I always behave, so no, but it was good. It was a much overdue live watch episode. Also, Miranda and I did a special screening on Stream Lounge of Muppets. I think it was like the Muppets Christmas Letters to Santa, which aired originally in 2008. I don't remember seeing it, which I think I probably did at some point because my kids were really small then. That got released as a special under the Muppet Pod. And Pop Goes the Classics will be back in hopefully by the end of the year. We're going to get Hercules out. And check out every day the Video Jukebox Song of the Day. For Christmas week, we did 2 days because it's Christmas, and there's so many great Christmas songs out there or videos that we want to talk about. But that drops every weekday, and then on the weekends, I will have my little pod blast of live watches of Pixar shorts that will drop every Saturday. So lots of fun stuff, a little something for everybody. Check out everything here on the Wrestling Network. Covers the gamut of wrestling, to current, to old, to this promotion, that promotion. You got really great, hosts and guests. So lots of great stuff. In terms of pop, we got comics, we got NBA team. We have movie stuff, Make Mount Rushmore, lots of fun stuff over on the Pop Experience. And don't forget, check out our friends on the North-South Connection with a great mix of wrestling, sports, and pop culture. Go to PlaceNation.com every day. All the pods are on there, plus a few articles that are written there every Thursday. Paulie's Perspective. Steve has a few articles on there. So lots of good stuff. Plus, that is going to be the place for the reveal of the next GWWE. If you are voting in the GWE, as of this date, you only have 3 days left to get those ballots in. So get them in, and the reveals will come. Check out PlaceNation.com every Friday at noon. That is when the reveals are getting dropped for the GWWE list. I don't have an exact start date yet because it's a lot of work. A lot of work goes in behind the scenes on the GWWE with the when it comes to the ballots and tabulating, and Callum is working hard on that, and we have our good friend Tyler Kelly, who is the one that's putting the articles up on the website. So for all the reveals, it's a really fun thing. And rumor has it there may be a stretch project for the Pop Experience also coming, and we'll talk about that right after the new year starts, because that should be a fun one. So I'm looking forward to telling you all what that's going to be. And also join the Place to Be Facebook group. Lots of great conversations there, and just a really good community. All the pod, like I said, are featured. That's where we're going to announce all the Stream Lounge live watches when those are happening. So you'll be the first to know when to come on and join us on the Stream Lounge. All right, cool. So that's going to wrap up Who's Next, Episode 3. So I want you, it's a little after Christmas, but I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas. Have a very Happy New Year. Logan, pleasure as always. We're off to a great start with this pod, and I can't wait to see what 2023 brings for us in NXT.
Me too. Can't wait.
All right, cool. So for Logan Crosland, I am Andy Atherton. Thank you for joining us on Who's Next, and we'll see you next month Take care.